Okay, so I promised a longer video to walk you guys through exactly what we did in the greenhouse with our drip irrigation. So we're gonna do that today. So how everything started. So this used to be just our garden area. I had a couple of, and I'll show you what these actually look like. So we had a big garden area and we had 4 of these 1-inch risers out here. And when we had the garden, we just basically overhead just sprayed water all over the garden. And that was fine while we only had just one level of stuff, right? So you had planter boxes, we had things on the ground, and it was fine. But then so then when we built the greenhouse, I actually dug up these risers and I ran the flexi pipe here into the greenhouse. And please don't mind my mess in the greenhouse. I have some stuff to do here, and hired help that comes and does stuff here for us. So these risers were here in the greenhouse. There was one right here, and then there was one on the other side. So initially, when I was planning out the greenhouse, I thought, man, I'm just going to have, one side of palms and then the other side of palms. It's going to be flat on the ground, and I thought this is going to be fantastic. And so we just brought a riser in. Ow. Hang on, there's a chicken on my back, you crazy chicken. So I thought that we would just bring a riser on one side, riser on the other side, and basically just overhead spray everything. Well, as you can see, we ended up having way more palms, and this is just the older, some of the older inventory. I'm going to be bringing in all the newer potted stuff once I clean and sweep and get all this stuff ready. This is going to be lined with palms just on the ground as well. So I have these 2 risers that were here. These are 1/2 inch. And so with the risers, I basically dug the ground. I dug into the ground rather, and I used a 1/2 inch, a barb connection, and then I used this Orbit's the brand of our distribution pipe. I found that at Lowe's. So those 2 fittings, right? So I cut into the 1/2 inch flexi pipe, put in a barb fitting that gave me a threaded, and then I bought the Orbit female thread, and then that went out to a compression fitting. I learned that compression fittings are the way to go, and barb fittings are just garbage. Many of them broke, and they blew out. I'll get into that. But that gave me a compression fitting on this side. And then I took my 1/2 inch of distribution pipe, I pushed it into the compression fitting, and then I reburied it. So now I have water coming from one of our risers in this zone, and then it comes up, it feeds, and I have to go back and cut and clean all this stuff up. It goes in and feeds and goes to the top of our greenhouse and is zip tied to the top of the greenhouse, and it goes all the way across, all the way across, all the way across, all the way across. And I'll skip you guys all the conversation there, but it gets over to here. This is a 1/2 inch compression fitting. I found these at Lowe's. I do a 90 degree and do the exact same thing. All the way to that side, 90 degree, all the way across, and I still have to come back and zip tie all these, so just don't mind that. 90 degree, 90 degree, all the way across. And then on the final side, I just bought a 90 or a 1/2 inch cap with a compression fitting, and this basically stops it. So all that happens is the water comes from the 1/2 inch pipe coming from our irrigation where the riser was, makes a bunch of 90 degrees, goes all the way across these shelves, and then it stops. I did the exact same thing on the other side. So the 2 risers got unscrewed, a barb fitting in the threaded to compression, and then 1/2 inch of distribution pipe. I will put all of these parts in the part list in the description of this video. So what we did was, once we zip tied everything, that was the first thing we did. Initially, I will add the link to this as well. So this is 1/4 inch irrigation pipe, and these are barb fittings right here, and these are a 1/4 gallon per hour drip emitters. We started with some other I guess you can call them emitters. Didn't work as well as I wanted, so I ditched those, and these are a 1/4 gallon per hour pressure compensating emitters. I'll put the link in the description. And so initially when we did this side, this was our first time ever doing this, so we had no clue what the heck we were doing. We first had to cut, because these came in 100-foot rolls. So we cut these to 1 foot. We laid it out over a ruler, used a pair of bone cutters, and then we cut them out to 1 foot. We had 1,200 of these lying around the house. Then we had to take these barbs. I think they come in packs of either 50 or 60 maybe, and insert them into here, which, man, it's not fun. We learned that, there's a tool that I bought that is for popping holes in the poly distribution pipe. On the back side of it, you can actually put the barb in and then push these into it. Be prepared, I will tell you, in this whole project, be prepared for a bunch of blisters, because even if you use gloves, you will get blisters. I promise you. It's not a glorious job, but when you see the irrigation happening, you will be very happy, and it'll all be worthwhile. So one thing that we learned, all this stuff is black. So the best thing we figured out, initially I thought, well, what if we go and boil some water, put it on the stove, put these pipes in there. It softened them up, and it kind of made putting them in with the barbs a little bit easier. But then I realized that we live in Texas, and it's like 100 degrees outside. So we just basically cut all these, put these outside in the sun. They became really pliable. Used that tool and just pushed all of these into there. So this became much, much easier. And after my wife was cutting these out into 1 foot of a section, she popped in these emitters, and then she dropped them on the floor. So I had this inserted into here on the floor. I put it outside, got it all warmed up, and then popped the barb in. So then I had a barb, a 1/4 inch pipe, and an emitter, and I had 1,200 of them lying on the floor. What we then did was she took a ruler and she came on the distribution pipe, and she marked where we thought everything was going to fit, because we have rows of 3. So there's another thing that we had to figure out, was how this is all going to work. So there's a system of like outside, outside, inside. So outside, outside, inside. And then the other side does inside, outside, outside. So you'll figure it out. But like if you're doing rows of 3, you'll have to figure out how things fit. But it fits and it works. We even have some extra emitters. And so you can see there are not palms here. So these emitters just get put into a pot, and some of these pots just get a lot of water. My growth is going to skyrocket now, actually going forward. So she popped holes in she marked them, sorry. I went across and I popped all the holes with the blue little tool. It was very, very easy. Didn't take much time at all. So now we had all the compression fittings. We had all the pipe laid out, zip tied, popped our holes in. And then the first time we ever did this, we inserted all the barbs. So we had barbs, pipe, and then these 1/4 inch pipe with the emitter were not on yet. And so I went one by one and I popped this side into the barb. And I felt like it caused issues because then you're messing around with the whole distribution pipe and how the barb goes and fits in there. When we did this the second time, we then did pipe, emitter, and the barb already on. With the hole in there, we just came by and popped it in. And that worked so much better. It was faster, it was less work, easier on your fingers, all that kind of stuff. So absolutely follow that method. When we did that, we then had all of the poly pipe, our water's hooked up, compression fittings are on, 1/4-inch pipe, emitter. Then I started to realize, I was like, man, first we thought, why don't we just do paper clips, and we'll paper clip onto here and then paper clip onto the emitter. Well, that didn't work. Paper clips weren't tall enough. They weren't large enough. They couldn't reach far enough. As you saw, we have crazy chickens. They like to get in here. They don't eat anything, actually, which is kind of nice. But they hang out with us while we do our work in here. And they keep all the bugs away, I guess. And they like nest inside of my palms, which I'm not a huge fan, but they don't do anything. They just kind of go and get the bugs. So we needed something that was going to stand up to the chickens being kind of rough with everything. And so my wife, we ordered these binder clips in a medium size, and they have larger ones if you need them. And the trick is, we bought the binder clips. You can squeeze these and squeeze this out. So of all 1,200, we took out one side of this metal, put it in a box, and then we had the other side metal attached to the black thing. We came outside, we put this metal part over the emitter and then squeezed it back onto the clip. We did that across all of them, all 1,200. It took us probably 3 or 4 hours yesterday with a couple of people. Obviously, I missed one. And then we came back around, and my wife and I did the whole thing of like outside, inside, and then we came back around and clipped every single one to here. The entire thing, so I've got 2 more riser pipes, as you saw. Those are currently shut off, so there's no water coming out of the other 2. Now, what I'm going to do is, I've got a riser pipe right here. I'm going to dig that thing go in the ground to do the same kind of connection I did on the flexi pipe in here. I'm going to run it underground, under the door. I'm going to do a 90 degree here, clamp it to the wood, come out here, and then the new seedlings that I'm currently potting up are going to be lined all through here in a couple of rows. And aspirationally, we're going to do same kind of drip, same kind of emitter, same kind of system to all the ones that are here. So basically everything is going to be drip emitter powered, and like the amount of water I waste is basically just the runoff. We run it for about 10 minutes a night at midnight. These things sit in the North Texas sun, so they get plenty of sun, plenty of heat. You can see our Black Berniana, which are up on the Etsy shop. Shameless plug. Are up here. They are very, very happy. Everybody is so much happier. I used to have to come in here and hand water. I used to have to hold the hose and the nozzle sideways and do all this other stuff. Plus, you can see our compost is growing mushrooms. Plenty of water, plenty of moisture. Our plants love it. Our dirt loves it. Everything's very, very happy. And I don't have to do any of that anymore. I don't have to waste probably about a half hour every other day watering unevenly, trying to hit everything. Plus, when you use these bags, one of the downsides is everything sinks, obviously. All the dirt will settle. And so now you have bags that are like this. And when you spray it with the hose, it will push the bag down, and then you have all the runoff, and the water doesn't get in there. Now, it's a thing of the past, man. The water gets everywhere I need it to get to. No water's wasted. The water goes exactly where it needs to go. Our water company is going to be so much happier that I'm using so much less water. And our plants ultimately are just going to be super, super happy. So the quality of our product is going to skyrocket. The amount of water I'm going to use is going to probably go down pretty severely, and everything's going to be happier. I control all this through my Ratio. It is a smart controller. I will link it in our description. It's connected to our Tempest, our weather station, which I have out by my pool. So it does hyper local, how much rain have I gotten, and it will skip and do all that kind of stuff on the parameters I set. So if we get over a 1/4 inch of rain, our Ratio will tell my irrigation for the lawn, for the greenhouse to basically skip. So I don't water on days, where we've already had rain. So I'm trying not to waste water as much as possible, keep my bills down, use less water out of the aquifers, and be a good citizen. So that's how I did this. This took me in total we did it on the weekends. We started the first week of July in getting all the fittings in, all that kind of stuff. Took a couple weekends of just some pretty solid, work. Cost-wise, probably, I would say when you add it all up, probably the most expensive thing, pipe and emitters, over $300, maybe $400. But the amount of water it's going to save, the time, the energy, and the quality of my product is going to really, really skyrocket. So I'm happy to do it. Like you can see, no water is going to be wasted. It goes literally into the pots. No water is going to be just out there and watering nothing. So we're super, super happy with this. So if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to help you. Look at these guys. This compost I use, obviously, there's definitely stuff in there which likes water. So I'm growing mushrooms. But the palms are super, super happy. Everything is so much happier. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know. Happy to help you. Do not use debarb fittings. I had them on this 90 degree. I had one here, and I had one up there as a straight fitting, and they all blew out. I got one more 90 degree barb on the end over here, which seems to be holding well. Oh, the other thing that we do is I use this Govee. We use a couple of Govee products, but I use this to monitor temperature, humidity in here. It's going to be important once we get to the winter time. We haven't gotten there yet. This is going to be our first winter coming up with the greenhouse actually enclosed. But as you can see, we face south, this faces east. And once all the leaves fall, we get sun over here basically all day. So this is going to be warm. It's going to capture that heat. It's going to hold the heat. And now I no longer have to drag a hose in here and do all that nonsense. It's going to make my life so much better. And I could probably even come back and clean some of this stuff up. I try to be a perfectionist if I can. I like things that look clean and well done. But that being said, I made things as tight as possible. Can this be better? Possibly. Is there potentially a better way of hanging it up on the top of the greenhouse, not just using just the center braces, or the hoops rather? Possibly. Is it better to make it like tighter and more taut, where over here we didn't do a great job on the first time we did it, where it's a little bit better on this side? Probably. Could you run string maybe, or some sort of like harder metal? Possibly. Is it good enough, and does it do exactly what I want it to do? Absolutely. So this seems crazy that I have 1,200 seedlings on drip emitters, but for everybody who buys our palms, our product is going to be substantially better, and you guys are going to be happier with what you guys get in the mail or you buy from us here locally. So again, thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful to somebody. We were able to muddle along on this journey and just learn ourselves. But if I can help somebody, I hope I can help. So if you have any questions, let me know. All of the links for everything we purchased will be in the description of this video. If you have questions, hit me up on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. YouTube, wherever you want. Hit us up. Etsy shop is in the description of this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this was helpful, and until the next time, thanks everybody.